Antifa by night, NGOs by day. Left-wing political machine runs 24/7 outside the Portland ICE facility. We've seen this before. The whole fentanyl Floyd era. You betcha. Now we've got it. It's a going. Literally, like the headline says, 24/7. What's that look like? Let's get into it. Here we go. We are reading from the Liberty Daily, the conservative alternative to the Drudge Report. They've got Tyler Durden, Zero Hitch. This is a good one. I'm basically just going to run through this, and we'll talk about a few other things, like the emergency world naked bike ride in protest of feds being sent to the Portland ICE facility because Antifa is literally trying to destroy it. Yeah. Real America's Voice correspondent 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗛, am I pronouncing that right? 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗛, visited the ICE facility in South Portland, exposing how the left-wing political machine operates, from Antifa attacks on the building at night to dark money-funded NGOs providing support to illegal aliens by day. Now, you might say, that sounds a little extreme. Well, who do you think, how does this machinery move forward without some greasing? Absolutely, you've got funding. Somebody's got to pay for all those, tarped off areas where you've got all the snacks and you've got all the water, because, Antifa needs snacks. They got to keep going. None of that stuff is free. So, and you got to pay for all the protesters to be there, right? Because these people don't really care. They're just paid to be there. And they yell their just ridiculous nonsense like they actually believe it, which unfortunately, I think they do. The whole concept of interfering with law enforcement, tossing criminals from your community, make that make sense. How's that work? How does that, you know what I mean? Just like, what? You're doing what? Together, this paints the picture of how the left's machine works to subvert the nation and extension, national security. That's what they're doing. They've picked a fight, and the fight is with the federal government, with ICE, and specifically buildings where they can just go in. They can just hone in and go hard. And, in a city like Portland, in a city like Seattle, in a city like LA, where you've got, governmental leadership at the state level supporting you. You've got city councils supporting you. Literally, this is one of my podcasts I just put out. You got a councilwoman telling constituents in a Facebook video to get burner phones, to use, apps that that avoid detection from the federal government and hide all of your face because your eyes and your eyebrows are recognizable by technology. She is literally going out and saying, hey, we need to violate federal law. We support violation of federal law, which is criminal illegals should not be tossed from our community. That's what they're supporting. That's what this individual is supporting. Angelita Murillo, I think it was her name. So let's watch some videos from Real America's Voice, 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗛.
Made it to Portland, where Antifa is attacking. They've been attacking. This has been going on for 8 years. Now they're attacking ICE. Hopefully, the hammer gets laid on these terrorists.
It's been going on for even longer than that.
We'll see. Going undercover. Boom, baby.
What's up? We domesticated orangutan. Look at us. Go get your.
These people, they're insufferable. Look at him.
Why are you standing like this? You look like you look like
Flashing lights, Look at how boarded up this is, because if any of these windows were exposed, they'd be broken night in and night out. Just absolute extreme vandalism. This is all painted over because graffiti happens during the day. You know, the people come in and they have zero respect for law and order because they're Antifa, anti-fascists. And yet what they are trying to do is literally shut down any sort of communication of what they're doing, which is just breaking the law night in and night out, and often in very violent manners. And they try and get, local politicians, hey, to show that Portland is just looking good. We're looking good as usual, but they're in downtown Portland and this is 2 miles away. And it's a wildly different contrast. So this is much of the same as Chop Chaz, all the peaceful protests of the Summer of Love. It's don't look here, look over here, because everything's peaceful. And in reality, the stuff that goes on here, just shenanigans to the utmost degree and in a very, very violent fashion. We saw, during the Summer of Love, maybe it was 2021, Antifa murdered somebody that was attending a conservative event in Portland, straight out murdered them. And then you had the Antifa inscripted on the bullets with Charlie Kirk. But everybody wants to say, that Tyler Robinson, he's a MAGA guy. And you're like, what? Even Jimmy Kimmel, right? And just some absolute nonsense. So if you're in support of all this, these just absolute numbnuts doing this night in, night out, we're probably not friends.
Direct threat on the side of the building.
Yep. Very violent. Okay. That's as clear as can be. Okay.
This is what the left has done.
Yep.
Once great city of Portland, now just garbage. Homeless, garbage. Imagine having to work here and dealing with these guys every single night.
No.
It's just scum of the earth.
Totally.
You got this witchcraft shrine.
This is interesting. Check this out.
This is what happens when you give your city over to the devil. That's what Portland, Seattle, Berkeley, all these cities. That's what happens when you take God out and you replace God with the devil.
I'm not, I'm not a big Bible basher, but I'm not going to disagree, because the elements that influence the far left and the left at this point in time are like Seattle is one of the most godless cities in the United States. We're just shutting down churches left and right because nobody's going, church, who needs it? Right? And that's that same deal in Portland. And whether you believe or you don't believe, I think what happens is that people go down these crazy train tracks, and that's Antifa.
And then you got these heroes in this building that are out here still doing their jobs. Look at these witches.
Look at this. What is this?
Remember the
I mean, is this some voodoo stuff? Is that what we're looking at here? Some actual voodoo stuff? I don't know. I feel like I'm looking at a scene out of Angel Heart. Remember that? Lisa Bonet? Mickey Rourke? What was that all about? I mean, we know what that was all about, but oof.
build with this circle. Yeah, broken.
Cast out the witchcraft in Jesus' name.
Yeah. And just some absolute, let's go with this one. Arrest him, press charges, incarcerate. What? I mean,
I'm a peaceful protester.
no, you're not, because otherwise you wouldn't have been scooped up like that. You're a piece of shit. That's what you are. Let's keep going. There we go. Yep, chase him down. Okay. So this was just a couple of nights ago. This was after Trump basically made his announcement.
There's no against the law.
Y'all are fucking.
You're telling us we're bad.
You're telling us we're worse than you? You didn't even use proper grammar. Son.
Hey, you guys, back.
Oh,
the flashlight. That's funny.
After that.
Just because of the flashlight.
What the fuck is wrong with you? God, so fucking stupid. Every one of it.
That is another reason I don't enjoy attending these events, because I got enough nonsense going through my mind, right? Where I don't need this kind of just, I might go down though. We'll see. I might go down. By early morning, Antifa cells scatter like ants, only to be replaced by workers from leftist NGOs, according to 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗛, who spoke with Steve Bannon. He noted that these NGO workers are aiding and abetting illegal aliens outside the courthouse in Portland. 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗛 added, these leftist NGOs are also part of the networks of telling these illegals when ICE is coming to their communities. It's all a coordinated effort. And it is being funded by all of the NGOs that are far left, that are hell-bent on basically destroying America. Because otherwise, they wouldn't be doing this kind of nonsense, right? Watch. Leftist NGOs aiding and abetting illegal aliens outside courthouse in Portland, Oregon. Let's watch this.
And I just want to kind of show you, paint the picture of what's going on. Speaking of that, so Antifa comes out at night. During the day, you got these NGOs, and that's what's happening right here. You got these leftist NGOs that are aiding and abetting illegal aliens. So you have illegal aliens that are coming in for their court appearances. Then you have these leftist NGOs that come out and meet with them and provide them legal aid. And then there are also part of the networks that are telling illegals when ICE is coming to their communities. It's all a coordinated effort. It all goes back to the mainstream media, like you said, that's providing aid and comfort as well, covering up the story, telling the lies. And then you have the local community that's having to live with it.
To simplify for readers, 𝗪𝗏𝗧𝗛 is merely presenting Antifa and leftist NGOs as two arms of the same left-wing machine. It's all part of one army, right? One uses color revolution, street-style tactics, just like Black Lives Matter, just like the Black Panthers. The other, institutional support, NGOs. Hey, let's fund these non-governmental organizations. What could go wrong? All in an effort with one goal, to obstruct President Trump's deportations of criminal illegal aliens. I mean, it's just, yeah. Guard troops begin training in Portland on handling civil disturbances. Good. Because this is National Guard. They're trained in doing other civil stuff. They're not necessarily trained in handling just a bunch of absolute numbnuts, which is what Antifa are. Yeah. Trump sends National Guard to Portland over Antifa violence, federal property threats. And that's the big thing, right? They're threatening, and they are vandalizing, and they are putting graffiti up, and they are basically impeding law enforcement, which I don't know if you know this. That's a crime. Yeah, even in my wildest dreams, I would not come up with this headline, because it's so, we're doing what? What kind of shenanigan do we have from the far left now? And Portland residents, you know what? They'll go out and support this. They will literally take their children, little Johnny and little Susie, who are 7 and 5. Look at the nice man who's slightly obese riding his bicycle with his dong and balls hanging out. Isn't this great? All right, F Trump. That's what Portland is filled with right now. Emergency World Naked Bike Ride plans underway after troops deployed to Portland. If that isn't an Onion headline right there, I don't know what is. And unfortunately, this is from Coin 6, CBS in Portland. Oh, it's so great. It's so bad. It's so great. After President Donald Trump, how does somebody even write this up with a straight face? As a journalist, how do you cover this? All right, who wants to write about the World Naked Bike Ride in protest of criminal illegals being deported from a federal facility? Anybody? Bueller? Is Bueller in the house? Right? After President Donald Trump announced plans to deploy the Oregon National Guard to Portland, organizers of the World Naked Bike Ride said the group is planning an emergency ride in protest because nothing says protesting federal law, which says criminal illegals need to be deported. Nothing protests that other than having a bunch of overweight, middle-aged men showing their junk to children on a bicycle. Organization made the announcement in an Instagram post on Wednesday. Let's take a quick peek at that. I don't think I've hyperlinked that yet. Let's see what this looks like. I see a lot of clothes there. That's not naked. I mean, if you're gonna bill this as a naked bike ride, you gotta be just all out there. I mean, because otherwise that's not a real protest. I call BS. You gotta be completely naked. If you're calling it a World Naked Bike Ride, no. Hard no-go. Oh, my word. It's so preposterous, right? So preposterous that's a thing. The organization made the announcement in an Instagram post. While this emergency bike ride is in response to the National Guard deployment, generally, the World Naked Bike Ride aims to promote body positivity, meaning being fat and unhealthy is okay. I mean, that's probably an accurate portrayal, right? And encourage decreased reliance on fossil fuels because nothing says, hey, decrease your reliance on fossil fuels. Then again, having a bunch of overweight, naked males with their junk out on a bicycle riding by children. Perfect. In Portland, the event splintered after the original organizers decided not to host one in 2024. A smaller group hosted their own version instead, resulting in 2 separate events last year. The upcoming event is hosted by an offshoot of World Naked Bike Ride. This comes after Donald Trump announced on Truth Social Sunday he's planning on bringing troops to Portland with the intent to use full force and claims Antifa and the radical left anarchists have been attacking federal officers outside the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which they have. And that's why the troops are going in. And that's why we're talking about it, because the federal government has the right to defend federal buildings. Yeah. Okay. They're not going to be running around Portland scooping up people. Remember that was a storyline during the fentanyl Floyd era? The secret police are just scooping up people out of white vans. They're saying, I got candy. They're not doing that. Following Trump's Truth Social post, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth issued a memorandum calling 200 members of the state's National Guard into federal service. During a press conference Monday, Oregon Governor Tina Kotek shared that the Portland Police Bureau is managing the protests outside of Portland's ICE facility. I just finished a podcast yesterday, and I basically outlined Portland Police Bureau leadership has completely bent the knee to partisan politics because they have been MIA on defending this roadway, this area out in front of the federal ICE building from just general lawlessness. You got people just absolutely running amok in Portland. You got noise ordinances being violated. You got a road where you can't get cars through because you got so many numbnut Antifa members just running around willy-nilly. That's why Trump is sending in the troops. It's one small concentrated area. And yes, that area is it's a shit show. While complying with sanctuary city laws, which state that officers will not aid federal immigration enforcement efforts. Portland is a sanctuary city. Oregon is a sanctuary, whatever that means. It just means they're not going to work. They're not going to enforce federal law, which violates their own local law, which says, hey, man, smoke the doobie, anything goes. Well, let's just have lawlessness. What could go wrong? Well, we know what can go wrong. We've seen it. I mean, we've seen Portland policy, which, hey, man, let's decriminalize all drugs. And oh, good Lord. That didn't work out well. That social experiment just boop. We have to hit the redo button on that. Let's go back. We got to criminalize those drugs because, geez, that did not work out. Who would have seen it? Decriminalize hard drugs. Overdoses just to the moon. Oh, yeah, I didn't know. How could I know? That's how you get street conditions like Portland. How about Portland's vacancy rate in downtown? How about the lack of revenue coming from businesses? How about businesses closing down in downtown Portland because of just this absolute crazy policy of letting the homeless live wherever? Tents are okay. They distributed thousands of tents in Multnomah County. You just got all this policy that does not work, and we know it, but hey, let's just keep doing it, and I'm sure it'll work out great. In response to the deployment, Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield filed a temporary restraining order on Monday. That's going to do jack shit. I mean, let's be honest. These politicians in Oregon are just absolute numbnuts. They want you to believe that street conditions, that, walking down a street 3 miles away in downtown Portland is the same as showing what's happening out in front of the ICE building miles away. That's the storyline that mainstream media is pulling out from this, is that, this is an overreaction from Trump. Nah, he said pretty specifically. And, Trump is going to say Portland is a dumpster fire. And some people take that as the entire city. It's not. It's a very small area that we're talking about here. And specifically, it's out in front of the ICE building. And Trump has said that as well. We're sending troops in to defend Portland's ICE buildings. I don't know how many times I've talked about this, but it's one of the reasons I do at times go out into the field to see what's going on so that I can regurgitate to you 5 years later, what I saw, which was a bunch of lunatic anarchists and some soccer moms. There was like 4 kind of hot soccer moms that were down there. I don't know how much those folks got paid, but they were all in white, and oftentimes the mayor, Tear Gas Teddy, would come out. And they'd all just have, just a big circle jerk. And that's great. Protest is summer of love. Greatest thing ever. And then in Seattle, 2 black kids get murdered. I was down in Portland for a couple of days there, and it was wild. It was just an absolute freak show of anarchy. It wasn't peaceful. There was no peaceful about it. It was wild. I started a live stream. You can see it. It's here on this channel. And I ended it very quickly because I had my son, Brennan, who's no longer with us. Yeah, that's always a tough one when I got to say that. He was with me on that trip. And I'll take my lumps as an adult, as a whatever I was, 52-year-old adult. But I don't want my kid to get, hurt, impacted. So I ended that live stream very quickly because it was apparent that it was extremely violent. In Antifa, they just do a bunch of crazy stuff. They're not big people. They only attack smaller people than them. That's why you've got Andy No, who is not a giant, right? He's a smaller Asian dude. Antifa goes after smaller individuals. I don't know if you've noticed that, but show me one big dude that they've gone after. It's because they're a bunch of rejects, but they're very violent. They're rejects. And because that's who's got the ability to go out and protest. So all of this stuff here, this is, it's all part and parcel of what we got going on, which is trying to basically break down things so that they can gain control. And the one small angle that they've always got is they're going after the feds. They're going after the federal buildings because they don't believe that criminal illegals should be tossed from our communities. They think that they should be able to stay because the federal government is an oppressor. Yeah. Okay. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks so much for being here. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff. See you on the next episode. Bye for now.